and I still mean that, without turning this into a, you invent something and you have the patent, you also have the right to defend it. Yeah, but I think what I believe doesn't matter, or what you believe doesn't matter. You know, you have people that hate you no matter what you do. Bought a second-hand Xbox. Each brand have got their own fanboys and thereby also their own enemies.
Welcome everyone to this very exciting interview with André from Asetek, CEO and founder. Now, unless you've been living under a rock in sim racing, you'll know that Asetek is, well, you're recommending an offer to your shareholders, I think, André, for a acquisition by a Chinese company, Chunki. Now, that's quite interesting because Asetek, I think, has quite a European brand and association, and people, I think, have bought Asetek equipment on the basis of that. So people will be concerned that there's an acquisition by a Chinese company. So I wanted to start with the party that is looking to buy Asetek, which is Chunki. Do they have any interest in sim racing, or are they more interested really in the cooling side? Or how does that work? Because Asetek is a bit of an unusual company because the sim sport seems to have been derived from your passion, and maybe some, finance people might not see so much value in it. So how does that work with a new acquiring party?
Yeah. Hello, everyone. So good question. I would say that I'm also passionate about our liquid cooling business. I'm passionate about everything I do, or elsewise I wouldn't be doing it. But because our liquid cooling business is OEM, we are not that visible. I'm not that visible. So just to get that out of the way. And CQ, as I call them, that's a little bit easier than their Chinese name. They have not put in this bid because of our sim racing. They have put in the bid of Asetek because of our knowledge and experience with the data center liquid cooling. They also appreciate that we have a, let's say, gaming cooling business, especially because we have many parallel customers. We are selling to many of the same customers, so therefore there's obvious value there. But they also like our sim business. So that is, I would put it like this: during the discussions that has been going for almost a year. Of course, my concern was that, well, if they want to buy this, what is going to happen to our sim racing business? But they seem to like that as well. So there are no, let's say, planned changes whatsoever.
Okay, and in terms of your involvement, because you've really led this, obviously your son Valdemar has had I would say, a successful junior racing career. I've seen your car in your office as well. You really do drive that, I think. Is that something that you're going to be able to spend as much time on? Or are you going to have to concentrate a bit more on the cooling business? How's that going to work with your new shareholders? Or, my last bit here, are you still going to be the CEO and you still make the decisions? Because we don't really know.
Yeah. So first of all, CQ is smart enough to know that when they buy, in this case, a European company, what they buy is the employees. If the employees were not here, why would they even buy us? And that also applies to me. It has been, without playing my cards too hard here, it's been very important to them that I stay on. And if possible, they would have liked to bind me for a very long period of time. So I can rule any speculations out of the way that, yes, I am for sure going to stay on board. I am still the one calling the shots. We are still a Danish company. And of course, we have a board that I report to. That board can be, right now it's a board of large owners in the listed company. A year ago, it was independent board members. A year from now, it's probably going to be CQ board members or even independent board members. So it's also a misunderstanding if people just thought I could just run away and do whatever I wanted. I play within a certain set of rules that I report to a board, and I will continue to do that. But the day-to-day management here at Asetek will for sure still be me. And in terms of time spent, I'm not really splitting my day and saying from 8 to 10 I'm working on sim, and from 10 to 12 I'm working on cooling. How should I put this politely? Being a CEO, when people ask what I do, I typically say, when we have young students coming and visiting Asetek, they come by my office and say, what do you do? And say, what I do for a living is really shoveling poo. And they are like, "Oh, you have this fancy car and this fancy office. What do you mean?" When problems hit the CEO desk, it's either because people can't solve it themselves or because they don't want to solve it themselves. So I am met with challenges, let's put it like that, every day long from all our business units. So I start from from an end and take them as they come during the day. That's the job of a CEO. So I don't think a lot will change there.
Okay, let's hope you haven't put a lot of people off becoming a CEO. I was more excited than that. It's also, I want to flip this question on its head, actually. I think the question I asked was a bit boring. What opportunities have you seen through the CQ acquisition that can accelerate sim sports? Actually, is it some kind of distribution, manufacturing, or what kind of elements there do you think can accelerate it?
Yeah, I think that's an excellent question. And when people run around and acquire companies, we've also acquired a few in Acetech's history. It's all about synergies. And for the sim business specifically, I think ultra short term there will be no changes. But for sure, CQ is a massive manufacturing company. Right now, we manufacture some of our products here in Denmark, and we will continue doing that. The most complex ones, for example, the Invicta steering wheel. But a lot of the other stuff we have made in Malaysia and China, and instead of going through several steps and contract manufacturers, etc., we would be able to, now I say we, assuming that the deal will go through, then we would be absolutely able and capable of doing it ourselves. And of course, that would, in theory at least, lead to lower cost prices for us, which would then lead to lower cost prices in the market for the consumers, for the benefit of all.
Okay, and just to drill down that a little bit more, we spoke in Germany a month or so ago about Acetech being an innovative company, spending a lot of money on R&D. Sounds like CQ value that in terms of the employees you have, tons of people doing that. There has been a trend in the industry, I would strongly say, that has been more to do with copying.
Yes.
And that has been led, I would say, probably by, let's say, Far Eastern brands.
Yeah.
Although it's more nuanced than that because they're also doing the manufacturing out there. Is that going to be a cultural thing to work out with CQ? Are they going to consistently see the value of the investment in the R&D that you're doing in Denmark when there are products on the market that are cheaper but not as innovative, that they may have more synergies to manufacture at lower cost and compete more on cost?
I think, first of all, I would like to say that people who think everything that comes from China is bad are stupid. People who thinks everything that comes from the US or from Europe is good is stupid. There are bad Chinese companies, there are bad European companies, and there are bad American companies. There are bad companies and bad people everywhere, but there's also good people everywhere. And yes, CQ, they obviously value R&D and the engineering efforts a lot, because they are in fact an engineering company themselves, and they do supply massive volumes to the gaming and PC industry already, not as their own brand, but of course supplying into the same OEMs as we are. And I think at our last interview, I were pretty harsh on some Chinese copycats, and I still mean that. But I would also mean that if they came from the UK or from Denmark. And in the past, we've had people copying us from all kind of geographic places. And without turning this into a politics discussions, I think Europe and America, they could learn a lot from China, actually. And keep in mind, I've had my own team in China for more than 20 years. I have my own people in Taiwan. We are a global company. I don't really differentiate that. We have employees in China that's been with us for more than 15 years. So the short way, I'm not a racist. I don't care what people come from. I care about how they behave.
I think if you have any cynics in the world, and I'm sure you do, I think we both have our cynics, right? I'm pretty sure a cynic will say, you've just had and this is not true because the offer's been in place for a long time, but you just had a big offer from a Chinese company. Andre's changing his tune. Is there anything? I can see cynics saying that.
Of course, and I'm sure people will say that in all sort of so-me commentary, but I don't really care. As I just said, we've had our own people in China for 20 years. So whether we got an offer within the last 12 months or not doesn't really change that. And I think what's also important to understand, I am the founder of Asetek, and I treat it emotionally like it's my own company. I run it as it's my own company. But keep in mind, I cannot make a decision on whether Asetek is sold or not. I don't even have a say. The board cannot even put Asetek up for sale. We are a public company, other than we are for sale every day, you could say. But to acquire a listed company, you have to have 90% of the shareholders agree to it. So at the end of the day, it's a shareholder decision. The board can then recommend it or recommend against it. In this case, they have recommended it. But me as the founder and the CEO, the biggest say I have is I can say I don't want to be part of this, so I'm leaving. And actually, without revealing my contract here too much, I have a change of control clause in my contract, so I could actually walk away and bring my salary for a couple of years and say that was it. But I'm not, because I think it's a super exciting opportunity.
So just one more on that kind of passion and on all the passion that's gone into it. You told me before how you've got told off over Christmas because you tinker on things with the hydraulic pedal and how you shouldn't be over Christmas. And there's a lot of let's say blood, sweat, tears that have actually gone into it as well. We spoke previously about Asetek having patents and you being concerned about potentially those patents being infringed, but it's difficult to enforce them. Do you have are you still kind of monitoring? Are you thinking of doing anything further there? Have you changed your position on that? Does that change with CQ? Do you have more muscle there, or are they more averse, or how does that look?
So first of all, I have not changed. I think fundamentally, if we are talking individuals or we are talking companies, if you invent something and you have the patent, you also have the right to defend it. Why else spend money on developing anything? I think where a lot of people are mistaken here is, I have heard people call me a patent troll or call Asetek a patent troll. A patent troll is if somebody bought Asetek's patents and they enforce them against someone who are copying our products, but they're not building the product themselves. A patent troll, per definition, is someone who's buying a patent but not doing the actual products described in the patent. You can never be a patent troll for defending your own IP. That's just a fact. So I don't know CQ well enough on how they want to pursue that, but for sure, if it's up to me, we would still pursue it hard. Hard but fair. Because elsewise, why even spend so much money on developing new technology? Then you can just sit back and relax and wait for everyone else to do it, and then you can copy it and sell it much cheaper. So fundamentally, I'm just against that. People can agree or disagree, but I'm just fundamentally against that. I don't like copying. Being inspired is fine. I can see people taking inspiration from our products. I take that as a flattery. We, of course, also look at others and say, have someone done this smarter than we have, or should we learn from them? And as soon as you're not stepping over the magic line of actually stealing other people's inventions, that's fine. That's just competition. That's how it should be. That's how you move any industry forward. And I also have a Christmas project this year. We are always up in our skiing cabin in Norway during the Christmas season, and this year will be no different. So this year it will not be hydraulic brakes, but I have actually bought a second-hand Xbox because my Christmas project is to drive a lot with our Initium Xbox version and see if it's ready for rock and roll or if we need to go back and change something.
And is that progressing well with retail as well in terms of getting that in retail? And so I think that was to me, the big part of that strategic push with Initium to make it work.
Yes,
you have to be retail.
It has been a limited success as so far as we had the first shipments, and then because of the shipping situation, we have things on the sea right now. So for a large part, Initium has actually missed the Christmas sale, but in terms of the more strategic thing of getting out retail, that is progressing really nicely, and we are actually in talks with retailers in the US also now, meaning that we do have a plan forward for reopening that. So yes, that's successful so far.
And just specifically on Initium, if we kind of weirdly, I think, take the objectivity out of it, so let's take any objectivity that, let's say, Initium is good build quality, etc. subjectively, there is a narrative that people don't like the look of the rim. That cannot be denied. Is that something that you would consider changing because of that subjective view, even if you objectively believe that this is better quality than the competition and the materials are good, etc.?
Yeah, but I think what I believe doesn't matter, or what you believe doesn't matter. I think people vote with their wallet, and I think the people who buy it, they obviously don't think it's ugly, and the people who don't buy it, well, at least they use it as an excuse. But to answer your question, yes, we are coming up with new designs all the time. It's just like there are trolls saying all Asetek steering wheels are ugly. Fine, that's fine. I have no problem with that. But there are also people who say our Forza Pro or our Invicta wheels are some of the most beautiful wheels ever made. So we are coming up with new designs, new steering wheels all the time, and we'll continue to do so. So yeah, go ahead.
Just a quick one on that, because I want to emphasize this is not a paid interview by Asetek or anything. I'm not paid by Asetek, but this is, I think, one of the best looking steering wheels on the market right now, and a very competitive price, the way the screen is flush and everything. But have you noticed, as someone who's passionate about sim racing, I think you were doing a lot of sim racing before you started sim sports, and you were disappointed with some of the stuff in the market. Have you noticed a trend towards tribalism, both in terms of hardware and software, where things are becoming very tribal? And that can be a benefit to you as a brand, because people are your brand warriors, but also it can create moats as well. I've noticed it.
Yes, it's very obvious that each brand have got their own fanboys and thereby also their own enemies. And I think it's a little bit stupid because, I can easily see from some of our competitors that they have done great work. I have no problem, admitting that or acknowledging it. But I'm also, as I said before, if I copied what they did to please the crowd, what do I have to compete on other than cost? And I don't want to turn it into a cost competition, because we will lose any day long because we are based in Europe. So, on the design thing, we will just keep doing what we are doing. And if I can just run to my closet here for 2 seconds, then I'll be back. I'll just go.
This is your opportunity to subscribe, everyone. If you like these interviews, I like doing them. It's great to speak with the thought leaders in the industry. And as you can see, I asked the hard questions. So please subscribe. Please share this interview as well. It'd be much appreciated.
So I just went to my own display stand here in my own office. So here I have the Invicta wheel. So pretty close to the one that you just showed me.
Put them side by side?
Right. Here I have the Forte wheel, supposedly one of the ugly wheels. The only difference between these two in terms of design is where the screen is. The bottom design, the side design, the rear design, the QR, the handles, everything else is the same. So therefore, I take it a little bit with a grain of salt in terms of design. And what at least I can see is that our competitors may not completely agree with let's say the public vote here, because what I can tell is that a lot of brands are actually moving in our direction in terms of design language. So I'm not purposely telling my team, let's make an ugly wheel that nobody will like. Of course, we are trying to do things our own way, but I also think it's important to realize here that doing the tooling for a steering wheel is very expensive. And Asetek Sim Sports is not a big business yet. So for us just to do a new tool, we went the other direction, right? Where we said, okay, now we did, as I said, down at the show, we have now released a much more inexpensive third-party adapter. So if people prefer another brand of wheels or another design of wheels, that's a possibility.
I just want to pick on something you said there before we switch gears for a final question, which is you said some people, it seemed, I think you think some people don't like the Forte wheel without the screen. That's not something I'm particularly aware of, but I know that a lot of people say vocally they don't like Ignition, for example. But anyway, it must annoy you that if you see brands other brands getting close to what you're doing in terms of the design style, but getting celebrated, and yet you have designed it, and there is I think you may believe there's a narrative that it's ugly when it has an Asetek logo. Must be very, very, very frustrating as a creator. I can give you a little anecdote from my side. Like if I come up with an idea for a video, right? I want to do a certain challenge or something, and I do it, and then another creator copies it, and then I might get accused of copying that creator even though I did my video first. It's frustrating because from a creative perspective, it's frustrating. Is that something you just have to live with? I guess it wasn't so much an issue with the OEM calling, but here it's more relevant.
I think I would say from a personal perspective, of course, it's much nicer when everybody loves what you're doing. But I think it's a part of being an adult and a part of running a company as well, that you have people that hate you no matter what you do. That's unfortunately the dark side of the social media era, right? That I have literally seen what you say, that if we do something, then you'll have a vocal crowd saying we hate it. And then if somebody else do it, now they love it. Or if we just wrap it differently, now they love it. And, I think it's just, it's how it is. And instead of trying to fix it, because I think we could spend the rest of our days trying to fix that, we will give people different options, and then they can pick and choose. And if they just don't like Asetek, there's certainly a lot of alternatives out there right now.
For my part, I've seen some new AI channels pop up with purporting to have reviewed maybe even Asetek equipment over a year, and it's a pure AI generated video, AI generated voice, and the comments are full of people believing it's real and saying thanks, that's rubbish, yeah. And that's very dangerous, I think. Obviously, I may be a bit biased because I invested time and money to review stuff, but
no, you are absolutely correct. We had one of these so-called reviews of one of our products a while back, and I could tell it was fake with even watching it. And the reason I could tell it was fake was because none of these products had ever left our factory. So it was purely based on fake videos and pictures, right? So, you have to be really critical.
Yeah, I might be doing a bit of an expose on that. Well, thanks so much, Andre, for your time. We've hit our time that you gratefully gave us. I just want to give an opportunity. Anything you want to say to maybe Asetek customers, people who are in the Asetek ecosystem who will have seen the news? Obviously, we've done this whole interview, which I think is great, but anything you want to wrap up on, feel free.
I think I just want to provide a final conclusion here that people have nothing to worry about. Asetek is still a relatively new brand in the sim racing industry. And of course, it has to grow into becoming a successful business one day, but that's completely independent of who owns us. But I'll keep bothering you for the medium term, at least, for sure. And don't put anything into that. I could say short term, long term. What I'm just saying is I'm not going anywhere.
Okay, there we go. Well, I hope you enjoy it, everyone. And if you have any thoughts, put them down in the comments, because I'm sure Asetek and André will be very interested to see them.